factor into what was going to be the one matchup we had where two teams had the exact same roster. So that's a lot on his plate, and Waldemar is some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I'm going to have to move the conversation onto the draft now, as we're going to be getting into that shortly. Suijay, with Convoy in the mix, do we know what to expect in this draft? Do we have anticipation?
Like I said,
strategy?
Waldemar didn't really play what was meta, so hopefully Convoy will be able to play meta, like that Baron, that Idris, that Vox that's really strong in 2.5 right now. And I think this is a good decision because Waldemar historically has not performed in the carry role. If you look at his Cyclone or now Supremacy's past history in last season. So I think this may work out in their favor here.
We'll have to find out. Baron going to be the first ban. There has been a bit of focus on Baron. We've yet to see it actually in a game just yet, but Ban's certainly focusing in on that one. Now over to Fnatic for their first ban. What are we expecting on this?
Probably Grumpjaw will be banned here. It's a jungler you do not want to go away, but they're going to go ahead and ban the Vox. So Supremacy hopefully will pick up the Grump and go from there. So let's see what they're going to decide. But based on the last series, they may focus on the captain first, which I've seen, like maybe Lyra potentially here, if they don't want to pick up the Grumpjaw. But Grumpjaw is the best pick right now for Supremacy if they play it.
Both of these teams last season did put a lot of emphasis on the Lyra, though, so we could also see Lyra still be first pick worthy for them. Fnatic last the season picked at 15 of their games, whereas it was in 11 of the games for Cyclone. So both teams really do like that hero, and it is available.
I have just noticed as well, we actually have a sub on the side of Fnatic as well. Kel going to be coming in on that lineup as opposed to Palmatoro. So this is, I mean, I was saying that this is a rematch from London. This is actually a very different game now.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
And they're going to go with the captain pick like I expected here. Looks like a trend here with EU. And Grumpjaw is open, so I'm seeing Fnatic's going to pick up the Grumpjaw. They're not going to pick up the Grumpjaw. Again, this is like funny because it's so strong in A. And like Koshka was back in the day, and now they're not picking it up. So Gwen is going to be picked up. Samuel will be banned. And then let's see what Supremacy is going to do. I think they're going to ban Grumpjaw, but who knows with how this draft is playing out.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it is going to go down. Samuel, once again, going to be a focus in Supremacy. Obviously, they're not going to get the next pick. So if you don't want to go against the Grumpjaw, now is the moment to get rid of that pick.
Yeah, I think it may just be an issue where like Fnatic isn't really going to be keen on playing Grumpjaw into the Lyra. We saw multiple plays last season where Lyra just shuts down the Grumpjaw immensely, so that could be influencing their decisions a little bit here, but they are going to go ahead and take that Arden off the board.
Yeah, Grumpjaw will be locked in by Fnatic though, so they are comfortable even going into that Lyra.
Yeah, this is crazy that he's in the second phase of the draft here, because normally he's taken or banned in the first phase. So amazing pick by Fnatic. I think Grumpjaw is great here. Supremacy will pick. They can't really pick a squishy because Grumpjaw really does well against squishies. So they have to pick potentially like a bruiser and maybe a long-range mage. So it looks like they're going to go with the Scarf here, and potentially they need to pick someone that can bruise. Black Feather, it might work late game, but early game he's going to get a lot of pressure from Grumpjaw.
So I have just been informed by production, it actually is going to be Palmatoro playing. So just
awesome.
Just to get us on the right page there. So it will be Palmatoro for Fnatic. But importantly, Scarf and Black Feather being locked in here. Scarf doesn't have that wide of a history in the BG8, does he?
Not particularly. It was one of the least played heroes across all of the Vainglory8 last season, as it was only picked up in, I believe, about 37% of the games, somewhere around there. It was pretty low, one of the lower pick rates. It did kind of come back to prevalence towards the end of the season, but it's an interesting pickup. It's one that I personally really like, the Scarf. I think it definitely still has a place in the meta. It's just a lot of teams have been putting the weapon power carries up in the lane, and Scarf doesn't really excel that well in the jungle.
We'll see how he's going to do in this game alongside that Black Feather. Now, final pick for Fnatic here. What are we looking at for a captain on this side of Fnatic?
I think what's good is they could go with Lance or Kath here. Kath's actually good into Lyra because when she's in a bulwark, Kath won't. She can still stun it through the bulwark. Lance also works really well because he can impale and force a bulwark to go up, and then when the bulwark is down, Grumpjaw and Gwen can then go in and engage the team. So they're going to go ahead and pick the Lance here.
So looking across these two compositions then, do we feel like one of these teams has won the draft per se?
I don't think either team has necessarily won the draft. I think both teams have a very strong draft and have a very clear identity in their draft. And so it's really just going to come down to execution, positioning, and the actual skills themselves of the players.
All right, so Suijay, can you break down that identity a little bit more. What are we anticipating out of these drafts?
Grumpjaw and Lance are very strong early, and Blackfeather and Scarf are weak early. So in terms of early game, Fnatic has a very impressive comp to shut down and snowball Supremacy. So if Fnatic can do that, win the early game, mid game, they're going to win this game and snowball it.
All right, so early game versus late game. We want to know who you are supporting at home. Make sure to get involved using the hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. And also, tweet at Vainglory, tweet at us three as well. We want to get involved in the conversation with you guys. But that's going to be it from the analyst desk, and we're ready to jump onto the map for our first game in this series.
Well, it is going to be a great game here for sure, as Fnatic versus Supremacy, like you mentioned, Munchables, it's kind of a rematch from London, but with a bit of different taste, Shinyi, as Waldemar will not be joining the time of Supremacy here. In fact, Khanboy going to get his debut onto the VG8 stage. We'll have to see what he can bring to the roster.
What a day to debut as well, going up against Fnatic, who have had a very strong spring season. So let's see how they'll be performing in the upcoming summer season as well. I think nobody can deny that they're looking extremely strong in the spring. And looking at the composition, I think we are going to be seeing this jungle Scarf. This is, as analyst desk were saying, this is not a position that we commonly see the Scarf in. However, going into that Grumpjaw and going into that Lance, they're relatively slow. It should be easy enough, I say, for Scarf to land those Spitfires and then use the Fan of Flames perk to deal damage. However, it does depend on your skill shots, but I do believe that Palmatoro, being Palmatoro, will be able to hit them all.
And not only that, you know, we've seen some great Scarf play from Palmatoro in the past. We've also seen some pretty good Black Feather play from Techno JJ. So it's a composition that Fnatic have used, well, heroes that they've used in compositions before and used to great effect. Oh wow, thought Net2Let stole that solo away, but in fact he did not. So getting a little bit hyped over nothing. But he is providing a bit of nuisance as he kind of scouts out Bastion and Aradha and keeps track of their movements around the map.
Yeah, I think as a Lyra in the early levels, you definitely have that ability. I think she's got an incredibly strong harass in the early levels in the lane or in the jungle, and she's one of those heroes that, despite having a fairly significant changes in the 2.5 updates, as this game is being played on 2.5, we're still seeing a lot of her. I think the utility of her skills is just incredibly strong, especially with that Grumpjaw there. She can throw down the bulwark. I think for me, the bulwark is just so important in those team fights. If you can time it correctly with the rest of your teammates and going into the skills that the other team are trying to throw at you, and if you can block it properly, then she's an absolute game changer.
So for Khanboy in the lane, this is kind of the person to keep eyes on. Doesn't really have a huge amount of competitive experience, I don't believe. Is kind of an unknown entity really to everyone. When we found out it was going to be Khanboy, I did a bit of research, Shinyi, and he hasn't really been spotted much playing in Challenger Series, unless he was playing under a different name. It doesn't appear that he's had a name change on his account.
We're
very unknown. So this is kind of a big moment for him, and knowing that you're kind of having your massive competitive debut here against Fnatic, not only is it a fantastic European Vainglory team, it's one of the largest esports organizations in the world. It is a name, a brand in its own that now you're having to try and take down.
You could say they were a Fnatic EU team.
Yes.
Sorry. You sound a bit just in despair. You're like, Shingy, why are you saying these things?
Why?
Why? Just shut up, Shingy. Sorry. Lost my trail of thought. Yeah, as you were saying, we really don't know much about his playstyle or his preferred heroes, and so there's a lot of pressure on him, as you're saying. And I think, to a certain extent, there's a lot of pressure on Fnatic either, because they're not really sure what to expect coming out from him either. I think you looked at the VG Pro stats as well, and there wasn't really that much there either, was there?
It's very standard carry. Like that's all it is, but it doesn't really say too much as to, who this player is and what we can expect. So right now on this Gwen, he is keeping up farm in the lane, you know, a little bit behind on the CS, but actually quite a lot if TechnoJJ is able to get this wave. Currently NetTolet holding it as Supremacy attempt to push it into the turret right now, though not really being able to find any success in that.
Yeah, he does get that big wave though, and for now I think we're just seeing a relatively passive game being played by both of the teams, especially with that Scarf there. You do want to be scaling more into late game, so it does take a little bit of time for him to ramp up. I think a Frostburn would actually be a really good pickup as a first item. It looks like he could be going through a Frostburn. He could also be going through a Shatterglass. Difficult to say yet, but in terms of, you know, if we do see that Gruntjaw coming straight at him, throwing in that Frostburn in the spit there, just gives that Scarf an extra time just to back away a little bit more from these fights. You want to be fighting at a relatively far range. And Bastion there just managed to land the triple impale, but not much follow-up from the rest of his team there, as far as we're concerned. But all three members of both teams are in the lane, pushing up, applying a fair bit of pressure there onto Fnatic.
Certainly are, but not really finding anything for it. Fnatic, however, they are very content scaling up this Scarf. You know, one of the advantages of putting Scarf in the jungle is that he gets to level 12 quicker, and he's a little bit safer in the sense that he isn't at threat of being ganked. However, is at threat of being invaded upon, something that Supremacy definitely would want to do with that Grumpjaw. If they can catch Scarf out, get on top of him with the changes coming to Grumpjaw, now he's hangry being targeted rather than a kind of skill shot, there's definitely a lot of chances to burst him right down.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, because we are seeing Lyre in the lane a lot of the time. Rada on the Grumpjaw does have that Stormcrown, so he does have a very fast clear speed. Palmator maybe not as fast as the Grumpjaw, so I think they certainly do have the advantage if we do see Bastion rotate down to join Rada, and they can certainly apply a lot of pressure to that Scarf if they can get on top of him, especially with the Lance there. You've got that impale, you also have the Githian wall. There's a fair amount of crowd control available to them, but right now I feel like we're seeing a lot of focus being placed on the lane instead, which, you know, is a reasonable place. Scarf, if he gets his chance to get any damage on the turrets, can do a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah, just not having the chance to do it. When being in the lane, TechnoJJ on a melee hero, it means that the lane should theoretically always be pushing against Fnatic until they find themselves an opening, unless they pull Palmator up to clear it. They can clear it quite quickly with the Scarf, but they really need to be on the forefront of that. Currently, Supremacy taking away jungle from Palmator, trying to deny him as much as possible, so that's a Treant and those fronts as well. A nice little advantage there for Radha, who is coming along nicely as far as item progression is concerned. Frostburn first item for this Scarf as TechnoJJ gets a little bit hurt, but has of course NetTolet to heal him up, so not too much of an issue. First item for Scarf, fairly standard. Usually we see a Frostburn. Expect to be going towards perhaps that Broken Myth next, or even Eve of Harvest if they want to really sustain some fights.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel that Supremacy, they have the early game power spike as far as concern against Fnatic. You do have that tension bow there. Oh.
This is a big engage coming out of Fnatic as they look to try and draw the first blood, but not quite able to get onto Khanboy. Nice impale coming out of Bastion to catch one up. But now we do get to see this kind of turret siege that Fnatic can put out as they attempt to try and, you know, catch Supremacy out. If they were able to really get a significant amount of damage onto either Bastion or Radha there, then they could have kind of like cycled backs and cycled the health bars, which would have put Supremacy in a bad position for a couple of minutes. Unfortunately for Fnatic, or maybe fortunately for Supremacy, depending on how you look at it, that was not to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely not to be the case here. And I think right now, if you're looking at the builds coming out from Supremacy, I think I was just saying before, oh, he gets right on top of Khanboy.
Oh, he's trying to find the kill. Fountain comes out, but not going to find it just yet. Here comes Radha looking for some more. Ace's high stuns up TechnoJJ. Oh, wow. Great Crucible comes out, blocks up the stuffed, and now looks like Fnatic want to try and turn this one on its head. That wasn't even a Crucible. It was a Crucible. I don't know why I'm saying it wasn't. It was a Crucible. That's just how far NetTolet is ahead. Khanboy takes a bit of poke damage coming through, and now Fnatic looking to try and siege up this turret. Radha is in position, but Khanboy just doesn't have any HP to him, and is not really able to stick around. So Fnatic, they've got free reign of the map for half a second and looking to try and get first blood into Bash. And here comes S1W1 looking for the kill, and he's gonna find it. Radha trying to get revenge, but now he's in trouble. He will just walk away, and Radha not gonna chase. S1W1 not gonna chase, but first blood at the 8-minute mark going over to Fnatic.
Yep, and they're gonna get the turret as well. And I think this is the last thing that you want is that scarf on your turret, throwing in the goop, the Spitfire on top of it. Because using the Fan the Flames, you can see how much that turret can go down. And for me, Fnatic are very much playing a very late game composition, especially with that weapon Blackfeather, who's slowly but surely almost full build now. He's got the Serpent's Mask, he also has the Poison Shiv, and right now he seems to be focusing mainly on defense. But never mind that, Supremacy are going to get their own turret off the back of that.
Yeah, nice little play by them to kind of cut their losses. In fact, it puts the gold at even, meaning that first blood doesn't actually account for anything here for the two teams. But it is still 1 kill going over to Fnatic. S1W1 on this Black Feather now at the 2 damage item point, building into defensives, which will make him really tough to deal with.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on Radha using that stuffed ability, because with that stuffed ability and also with the Aces High, there is, if they can get on top of the Palmatora, on top of the Scarf even. You know,
the Palmatora.
On top of the Palmatora, he is.
That's how I am when I run into him in solo queue. I'm like, oh my god, it's the Palmatora.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think we all understand. It's the Palmatoro, who is throwing out those Spitfires with a finesse and panache.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitions. Love it. It's quite a slow game, though. It's definitely different to kind of the pacing that was set to us by Dynasty in their first matchup against Reliable Union. Fnatic, they do want to scale, and actually kind of the opposite for Supremacy. They have this early game Gwen, really nice, strong hero, and actually Grumpjaw really good in the early game. They are going to get this gold miner for themselves, and that's going to push gold their way, but this kind of early game composition from Supremacy hasn't really been used to its greatest effect.
I think there was a point where we saw Canboy just picking up his tension, but Radha already had the Storm Crown ability he already had Storm Crown as well as the stuffed ability available. And I think there's been definitely moments where I've been thinking, why have Supremacy not just taken advantage a little bit more off the power specs that they have, the item specs that they have, and just try and really go for the team fight. One thing that's been really impressive for me in this game from Supremacy is bashing on that lance. I feel like he's landing those impales really well. I feel like he's hitting multiple members every single time.
Going for a fight here. That's going to be Palmatora swallowed up. That's the key target. Trying to save out this Scarf, but he gets knocked against the wall. Trying to escape, but he cannot. Kill goes over to Canboy as he finds the first for Supremacy. He goes down very low. S1W1 looking for the kill, and he's got to find it. Can he get himself to safety is the question. Net2let trying to heal. There's the block, but it's not enough. And he will go down. Now Net2let trying to escape, got himself the movement speed, and that should just be enough for Net2let to get away. But they're going to keep chasing. More treads popped. Radha diving on in, misses that ability up, and that's going to be him pushed right on back. Net2let says, get out of my way, boys. A 2-for-1 in favor of Supremacy.
For a very strong, that was a very strong engage that we're looking for, is Radha using that stuffed ability to try and get on top of the Palmatora, which worked very successfully. They were able to chain up with the Githian wall, stunning him in. And I think at those moments, I think War Treads would be a really great pickup for Net2let, just to allow Palmatora to escape, because he didn't have the speed boost just enough to get him away from the fight, and as a result he was burst in very quickly, even with the fountain and with the heal. But S1W1, I think this is what we mean with the late game Blackfeather. If he gets a chance to get right into the fight, build up those kind of the stacks as well, he can do a lot of damage, because Gwen, there wasn't really much Gwen could do against S1W1. He was just dodging and dancing around her, and she just went down very quickly. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to face up against Radha.
No, for sure, and that's kind of the power of Grumpjaw, is you get that stuffed ability in, and you put someone, a squishy, a vulnerable target in the middle of a fight, then actually it makes things extremely difficult for that person to get away. It's something that's hard to repeat, though. I have to see if Supremacy can keep it up. They're currently looking to try and get some extra gold, as they're not going to spot the gold miner being taken, and Supremacy going to decide to disengage it. Is only half full, so not really worth dying over at this point, Shinye. But if Radha is able to swallow Palmatora up more consistently, in fact, if he gets S1W1 and Palmatora is left in a 2v3 without the Black Feather as a kind of threat, then this could be really advantageous for Supremacy throughout the entirety of this game. but it does require them to hit that ability, and we've already seen that NetTelect can crucible it, something that's very difficult. Now that we've got reflex blocks on every member of Fnatic, this could just be something that if they're not surprised, then they might actually not be able to pull it off again.
Yes, and looks like Fnatic, they're going to be going for the gold mine. They've not actually been able to take it so far this game. Supremacy have been able to pick up twice, getting very decent gold payouts coming out. And it does look like they're trying to get some damage there onto Supremacy. To be honest, right now, with Palmasaur with that broken myth, what we really want to be seeing is him building up those stacks on the broken myth. He can do a lot of damage if he gets full stacks on that. And if they get the chance to do that, that's when they really want to be engaging. But right now, actually, are we going to be seeing a steal coming out from Supremacy here? No.
Not quite able to get that stolen away. The gold does go over to Fnatic. Bastion looking for an engage. Won't be able to find one. TechnoJJ wants to keep this one going as the Spitfire lands are slow as well. Here comes Radha diving on in. Manages to swallow up TechnoJJ and they're going to steal him away. Dragon's Breath being charged and Bastion, he's melting. Oh, the reflex block to stop him from stopping it. And that's going to be Palmator just walking to his death. They do pick up Radha in the process. TechnoJJ looking for more as Carnboy goes low. A double, looking for a triple. It should be easy for TechnoJJ and he will. No, he might not be able to get it. Telet will be able to secure the kill nonetheless. But an ace comes out for Fnatic. I love the play by Fnatic to instantly turn the Dragon's Breath on. Maybe Palmator just overstepped his mark a little bit.
I like that as well. You know, TechnoJJ, they did what you said. You said would be a really good idea. If they take TechnoJJ out of the fight, it leaves Fnatic in a 2v3 situation with Palmator left very vulnerable with not much defense, not much speed, because he has the travel boots. But yet they were able to do very well. TechnoJJ, I think he's proving to be a major threat. If you look at the itemization coming out from Supremacy, that is becoming apparent because we see two pauldrons coming out from the members. Canboy going for a metal jacket as well. And I think that just goes to show how much damage TechnoJJ is doing because he is staying alive for so long in these team fights. Palmator is just a distraction at this point, just to prove like the starter damage at the start of the team fights.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when that Dragon's Breath just burns away consistently, the broken myth stacks are already there from the earlier of the fight. It makes things so devastating if you're just going to tank that damage up. Kraken pushing through. The first turret of this campaign has already been taken by Fnatic as they let the Kraken prep for this choke point. Radha, though, wants to start the fight, and that's going to be a stuffed onto NetTelect. Not really the prime target. That's going to do nothing for the team. Palmator charging the Dragon's Breath. Oh, look at the damage! Burns down. Camboy does lose his life, but he's done the groundwork now for TechnoJJ to finish it off. The snipe over the wall takes down Radha and Bastion. He might be able to combat roll all around town, but will he be able to escape is the question. He's going for the over the wall Trickerino, but he cannot get it. And that's going to be him going down. Another ace, and with a Kraken in the base, this could just be game for Fnatic.
There is no escape there for Supremacy, and yes, I do believe that this is going to be game for Fnatic as well. And it was a very slow start to the whole game. I think we saw the first blood coming out in 8 minutes, 9 minutes, but we didn't see much action happening. And actually, maybe this isn't going to be game.
I lose NetTelect. TechnoJJ gets all. Oh, he's going to get popped right down. This is really difficult for him. Can he get away? Turret goes down. The base now under duress. And TechnoJJ does lose his life. The Kraken going to start work on this Vein Crystal. But it does look like Supremacy have just done enough to buy time. So, Kraken not able to find the base Xingyi, but it is all the groundwork done at this point. Xingyi, it's an open Vein Crystal, a Lyra able to portal over the wall, and just Supremacy are going to struggle to keep their Vein Crystal alive from this point onwards. Well, it seems that we may have lost Xingyi. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, maybe some teething. Oh no, she's back.
I actually muted myself. I didn't realize I was just talking away. I'm still here.
There you go. Welcome back, Xingyi.
Thank you, thank you. As I was saying,
glad to see you found your voice.
Nobody was able to hear me. That is why Bastion bought 9 scout traps to prevent these back doors, because TechnoJJ also has that Rose offensive to get across the wall as well. So you have 2 out of the 3 members of Fnatic who are able to backdoor And looks like they're going to be taking out a Crystal Sentry.
Yeah, it's going to be Crystal Sentry contested over. It looks like they're going to lose Techno JJ for the process. That is not something you want to do, Fnatic. Kraken just spawning now as well. Supremacy with a chance to actually go for this and try and turn the tides of this game. Very greedy from Fnatic.
Very greedy, but does look like Supremacy are going to be going for the Kraken instead. 25 seconds left on the clock. I don't think we're that far into the game where I think they can try and risk the steal with a Spitfire.
Come on, he's totally looking for it, isn't it? Spitfire goop.
They need a body
block. A lot of damage, a lot of burst. There's the Imperial Sigil going in. Oh, he gets swallowed up. Kraken will go over to Supremacy, and they're going to lose Palmatoro in the process. Just gets knocked against the wall. That's him stopped up. Now with Palmatoro 40 seconds on his respawn, staggered respawns, a chance for Supremacy to really do some damage to the base.
I think it's slightly concerning for me that Techno JJ and Netflix are the only ones left alive, facing up against Kraken and all three members of Supremacy, because Blackfeather is not one of those heroes that is very fast at taking out a Kraken, especially when you're against a Gwen, who's able to poke at you from range. And it's a bit of a shame because Scarf is one of the best heroes to be just burning in the Kraken. And he is still out for the count for 5 seconds.
So Kraken will get its way over to the choke point. But Supremacy aren't interested in pushing it any further. Really not wanting to start a team fight so far away from their base. They have no vision, but they have actually set up a lot of vision. You know, you mentioned those 9 scout traps after you came out of your 10 years of silence. And there's a nice little line down the lane. The jungle's nice and visioned up. So it means that Supremacy will know where Fnatic are if they do attempt to go for a backdoor.
Yes, they've regained control of the jungle. They have managed to turn things around even after being forced back to the base. And we do see all 3 infusions coming out on the members of Supremacy. We are in a very precarious position here. Supremacy, they're doing a very good job of pushing Fnatic back. Palmatoro does have to be very careful with positioning. He has been the main target for many a teamfight coming out from Supremacy. So just trying to get those Spitfires down, try not to be caught out by that stuffed.
By breaking out those Shinyi as Techno JJ manages to dance away, but that's going to Palmatoro up against the wall, trying to escape as he keeps on running, hiding. He's going to go down, but they've done enough. Camboy gets healed up. Techno JJ going to get rooted on down, and he's actually going to lose his life in the process. Manages to get 1 for 1, but at this point it's not enough. There's Net2Let, no passageway, and he just has to dance and weave. Dodges the impale, but stuffed its back off cooldown. 20 seconds at this late game, and Net2Let, even if he escapes this, well, it's going to be another stuff coming his way eventually. Runs into the Crystal Sentry. It's what started this mess for Fnatic, and the ace comes through for Supremacy again.
This is an incredible game, absolutely. With Palmatoro, so they went for Palmatoro again to try to block it, but wasn't successful in blocking the stuff. And as we said, with the cooldown on 20 seconds, thanks to the Storm Crown, thanks to the Aftershock and the Halcyon Chargers, you're not going to be able to block it every single time. And Palmatoro is such an easy target, because if you look at that itemization, he doesn't have that Aegis yet, he has 1 reflex block, and he does have a hefty amount of crystal damage available. Unfortunately for Palmatoro there, he's not getting a chance to output the damage and build up those broken mid stacks, because he is the principal focus for the Grumpjaw every single team fight.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy stuff. Fnatic with such a huge lead, but they're throwing it away. Kraken going to spawn, and Supremacy are actually just going to take this immediately. There's no way Fnatic can test this. This will be down by the time they reach it. Maybe a stray Spitfire, their only chance. They spot the flare, then they know it's coming. They know that this Kraken is going down. A chance will be there. Do they have it in their head? Oh, it gets stolen! Techno JJ fight them with an impale! And now Supremacy are losing their HP bars. That's going to be Techno JJ swallowed up. Palmatoro going very low, rooted, but going down nonetheless. Now Techno JJ has to do the work. If he can kill enough, then it's the game for Fnatic. As he gets fun, he gets 2, looking for a 3rd, and Radha cannot run away. A triple kill comes through for Techno JJ. An ace, a shutdown, and the game will go Fnatic's way.
At the point they were taking the Kraken, I was very convinced that this game could go either way, depending on who was able to take the Kraken. And they stole the Kraken. It was an incredible steal coming out there from Techno JJ. And that's the game. It was a very prolonged finish. We were expecting the game to finish about 5 minutes earlier. But Supremacy looked incredibly strong in the last few minutes there with the team fights, picking off Palmatori every single time. I think in the last team fight, though, they went for Techno JJ with the stuff, which hasn't worked out well in the past. And I think that was the issue. I think the continue going for Palmatoro was probably the best way.
Yeah, it was a very intriguing game, Shinyi, for sure, and I can't wait to get some opinions on that one. I want to know whether or not it was this composition from Supremacy that was kind of stronger and was able to deal with the Scarf. That's the reason that they kind of came back. It was just incredible misplays, perhaps, from Fnatic. Either way, we're going to throw it back to our analyst desk and they can answer some of these questions for us. Game 1 of this series does go to Fnatic.
All right, well, I think the key word there, Dowsy, as you rightly say, is intriguing. That was one heck of a game. We had a Kraken steal, we had a Vein Crystal surviving on minimal HP, we had all sorts going on. I mean, where do we even begin to analyze this?
I mean, I think we have to start with Fnatic unable to close out the game when they had the opportunity at first. They had a huge lead. They had no turrets left. And then all of a sudden, it looks like maybe Cyclone's going to end up taking this game because Fnatic took... Supremacy, yes. Supremacy.
We've all made the mistake.
I mean, Fnatic just took multiple really bad fights in a row and almost lost themselves this game.
Yeah, and this was kind of how it started to look okay for Supremacy.
Yeah,
right?
Supremacy, nice Grumchaw eat here. And you can see what they do here. They all plan this out, drops it on the turret, then Lance comes in with that stun, and Gwen then finishes Scarf off. So really nice play there. And then Supremacy won a lot of key fights when they focused on the Scarf. And that's why I kind of went back and forth. If Palmataro didn't block an E or didn't have great positioning, they usually lost the fight because they knew their win condition was to get down and focus the Scarf down. They did a really good job, and it was a great back and forth in a lot of these fights. And this is one fight. Palmataro here, you guys need to watch like the fight, how it pans out. But he actually, when he Scarf out, he actually blocks the eat here. I mean, not block either. He blocks the Lance Githian wall while he was ulting as Scarf. And the timing on this and the prediction that he did, it was just amazing on Palmataro's part in terms of just his mechanics. I mean, look at the timing on the reflex block. So amazing plays there for them to kind of secure and win this fight here.
Yeah, fantastic job there from Palmataro to be able to keep in that one, and then Techno JJ obviously sweeping up the rest of that fight.
Yeah, it was Techno JJ was such a strong carry for them. As long as they didn't lose Palmataro right off the bat, there was so much damage the Scarf outputted, and then you have the execution damage from the Black Feather able to finish them off, and then of course this massive play here.
Yeah, that was just insane. Black Feather actually stole it with his on point. And you see Supremacy here, they do get the kill in Scarf. Black Feather has double life steal, and a Larry heal comes out here. It's going to be able to sustain him and let him then basically clean up the fight and get the ace here to then secure the win. So very well played by putting Black Feather in the lane, which is really smart, and putting Scarf in jungle versus Grumpjaw.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see just the sheer damage that Techno JJ was doing towards in that final fight. It's like, at that point in the game, it's very difficult to be able to bring a skirmish back unless you can just blow him up instantly at the start of a fight. But definitely, Fnatic playing well to their composition, but it definitely wasn't a perfect game from Fnatic by any stretch of the imagination.
Far from it.
If we see similar compositions again, how do we expect to see execution changing coming into this one?
I think Fnatic just needs to, once they have a lead, not get sloppy. That was really their big problem. It seemed like they just got too confident with the position they were in, with the fact that they had been winning so many team fights and blocking so many Grumchaw ults, that if you're just half a second late on blocking that ability, all of a sudden Scarf gets eaten up and the entire team gets caught out of position as a result. So as long as they just stay focused throughout the games, once they build themselves up a lead, stay focused and close out the game cleanly, then they shouldn't have any issues.
And then on the side of Supremacy, obviously they had some like moments of glory, right? They managed to come back into the game. We all thought it was over as the Vein Crystal was being attacked, but then they scrapped their way back in. What do they need to do to not get to a situation where they have an open vein crystal, where they have to scrap back in.
They had good combos and team fight focus with a Grumpjaw E into Lance Stun, Gwen Sun, etc. However, they don't push the objectives when they have the lead. The Kraken push, they did not push the Kraken. They went home when the jungle was up, and they didn't do anything out of that. That was a really weird play. And second of all, they had Grumpjaw Lance, which is much stronger in the early game versus Scarf. They did not play to his power spike. He could have shut down Scarf, lived in Scarf jungle, just basically take Scarf jungle and don't let Scarf farm his own jungle and win the early game. And they didn't. They played really passive. They're farming up and letting Scarf get 2 tier 3 items, then 3, and then by then Scarf becomes a huge threat against Supremacy.
Yeah, and this could be a matter of Supremacy having kind of a little bit of jitters coming on. This is the first week of VG8 once again, so maybe a little bit of nerves coming in. We'll have to wait and see. But now we're going to be moving towards the second draft. What are we expecting to change from the first draft? Are we expecting any major changes, or could we see a very similar game again?
I think we could end up seeing a very similar game. One of the big takeaways that we didn't really touch on from the first game was Convoy coming in for Supremacy. I think he looked incredible. He looked very strong and very confident in the lane, which that was my big question mark, was would he be able to fill in those shoes of Waldemar? You know, didn't have those big crazy plays that Waldemar is known for, but he didn't fall ridiculously far behind. He stayed right on par with Techno JJ for the most part. It was really, like Sui just said, Radha that I want to see step up more in the early game.
Yeah, so this Black Feather ban I really like from Supremacy since Techno JJ played it so well. And as expected, the Grumpjaw ban should be coming out in the very first phases of the draft here. So Fnatic's going to go ahead and take away that Grumpjaw since it worked so well for Supremacy there. I think here they're probably going to take Lyra most likely here as a captain. Actually, they're going to go with the Vox instead. They're going to go and secure the Vox and switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, so this is the first game we've not seen a Lyra first pick, I believe, so far in the entire season
Yeah.
of the Vainglory8. But now looking over towards his first pick for Fnatic. With Grumpjaw off the table, what do we anticipate?
Yeah, Baron is a good pick for Fnatic here. I would take it here because it will be banned if they don't take it, because Baron actually works really well and actually counters the Vox. So instead, they're not going to do that. They're going to go with Arden. They just need to ban Lyra here if they're going to pick Arden. They need to ban Lyra and not let them have Lyra with Vox. So they're going to go ahead and do that.
And there's maybe an argument here, if you don't want to play the Baron, you kind of force the ban from Supremacy, right? You can then build your strategy differently. But Gwen is going to be the ban, so Baron's still going to be open.
Yeah, Baron was one of the very few heroes that Fnatic did not play at all last season. There was only 6 heroes that they didn't play as a team, and Baron was one of them. So it's interesting to see, but they are going to go ahead and grab the Samuel. This was one of their signature picks throughout last season.
Yeah, and I love Arden with Samuel because Arden can counter a lot of assassins that get onto Samuel. That Vanguard is going to save him and then put him away, slow the assassin, and give that speed buff for Sam to get away. Koshka is a great pick into this. I think they need to now secure Lance with Koshka here, or potentially Fortress if they want as well. So both of those picks would work really well for the composition. They're going to actually go with the Adagio and get a healer instead.
Yeah, so first time Koshka, first time Adagio of this season. So I'll be interested to see how they play out. But this was a killer combo in London.
And this has been a killer combo pretty much all throughout Vainglory. Like it'll fade away for a little bit, but it always seems to come back. It's very aggressive early game, which again, Supremacy game number 1, we didn't see them have the early aggressive jungle, even though they had the early aggressive jungler. So it's going to be interesting to see if they make that adaptation here into game 2.
So interesting intricacy here. We've got the Koshka jungle, but because Samuel has already been locked in, could we see Samuel go to the lane just to open up the Baptiste as a counter here?
That would work, but that would be double CP. I think they're going to go with Glaive here potentially, or Idris, or even Ringo if they want to play the range game. But Ringo wouldn't be too good into Koshka. So Idris might make more sense here, or Glaive. Yep, Glaive is going to be picked here. And that's actually a decent combination because Glaive can protect Samuel. If Koshka comes in, she's going to get a lot of damage coming from the Glaive. And on top of that, you have Arden protecting the Samuel. So this is actually a good job by Fnatic.
Just Samuel in general. Like, once you're jumping in onto Samuel, you can't dodge those Malice and Verdicts if you're right in his face. So it's going to be difficult for Koshka once she jumps in to be able to stay safe.
All right, so it sounds like you guys are leaning towards this draft with the Samuel from Fnatic. How do we feel the draft has gone? Once again, like, do we think either team has won this one? Do we think this is going to be a 2-0 for Fnatic?
I'm a big fan of Lane Glaive. He can afterburn and rotate down if Koshka invades to then protect Samuel and his jungle. He can also make a lot of plays in lane, as we've seen from the first series today, right? With the afterburns of Fox into the wall and then just basically deleting him. So I think Fnatic has a better draft. However, Supremacy has a better early game comp. if they snowball the early game, they can take it away.
And very quickly, Bacon.
That's basically what we said last game. It didn't happen, so I think Fnatic is going to be able to still hold on to this one.
All right, we may be looking at a 2-0 according to the desk. We want to know what you think at home as well. Hashtag Vainglory8, sorry, is going to be the way that you can get in touch with us and get involved in the conversation. But speaking of conversation, we have a couple of casters who are going to be conversing about the game at hand.
Oh, is that what we do, Munchable? I believe that's right. We a friendly chat between Shinyi and I. You know,
it's a friendly chat show with Vainglory.
get your tea, get your biscuits.
I have my tea.
We'll sit down and we'll have a right doozer. Now, I want to have a chat, Shinyi, about Fnatic because despite the fact that they won that game, it was really sloppy from them. Something that was kind of a little bit uncharacteristic from the roster.
It did feel very sloppy from them, and I would say Supremacy looked very strong despite that. Even though they weren't very able to win the first game, I would say there was a very, I could have gone either way. I don't think, based on how that game was going, it was very difficult to say who was going to win that game. Fnatic, yes, I feel like they were a bit sloppy. Macro play just wasn't really quite there in terms of rotations. They felt like they were struggling in some team fights with what to do, and they weren't really getting the opportunity to output the damage that they wanted. I'm hoping for this time it's for them just a little bit of teething issues, just a kind of the first game nerves. It is the start of the summer season after all. And maybe for this game we'll be seeing a completely different story coming out from Fnatic.
Yeah, for sure. And, when we talk to these guys in London, they kind of talk to us about how... actually, they're going looking for Bastion here. TennoJJ's rotated down. He has that afterburn. They're going to catch Bastion out, but can they actually take this fight? Radha level 2 on this. Koshka and Netalet's just getting burned alive. That's going to be Netalet falling. First blood goes over to Radha's Koshka. And he's looking for a second. Palmatora stands no chance. It's a double. Could he go for a triple in early game? It would seem obscene, but it will just be the double for Supremacy.
That is the Koshka though. She is incredibly fast. She's able to put a lot of damage in the early game. And she's one of those heroes that has a very easy time of just maintaining that early game presence in the jungle, has a very fast clear speed as well. And it's not a hero that you particularly want to face up against unless you know how to deal with her. And I think they were trying to do that. They're just trying to get the damage on her. Unfortunately, the Massive Verdicts weren't able to hit her, but they are hitting Bastion.
They are looking for Bastion. Not going to be able to find the kill though. Fnatic losing out quite early as far as aggression is concerned. You just cannot sleep on this Koshka, and it was something that the analyst desk talked about pre-game was Palmatora likes his Koshka, but seems like Radha has been investing in the time, and Supremacy now with a 600 gold lead, 2 minutes, looking to try and make some moves, trying to steal away as many camps from this Samuel as possible.
Good job. Really nice rotation coming out there from Supremacy. Canboy coming down. It's a 3v2 situation. And unfortunately, they aren't able to get any camps away from Fnatic there. Look at the composition coming out from Supremacy. It's such an old school composition, this Koshka Daju composition. It's something that we saw a lot in Worlds. It was very, I think a lot of the teams started picking up. It was Korea that started playing this composition first of all, and then by the end of the weekend, all the regions that was playing this Koshka Daju, but Bastion is dead.
Bastion just gets destroyed there. Did not respect the afterburn. That can just really throw you out of position. This lane glaive is something that we really only ever see in Europe. I've had the pleasure of going over and casting other regions, but we'll talk about it in another second. They don't really like this lane glaive. It is very much a European thing, and actually look at the punish that TennoJJ is able to do. Canboy gets knocked out. It's a rinse repeat for Fnatic.
Yeah, rinse repeats indeed, and they've managed to even up the kill board there, so it's 2-2 now for both of the teams. Koshka, she's doing her best in Invade, doing quite well in terms of CS, 17 to Palmatora's 12, and actually you're about to run into Palmatora. Look at the damage coming out.
Wow, the 2v1 and puts Radha right down to just a third of his HP. Doesn't want to regress too far in because TennoJJ obviously can turn fights with a well-placed afterburn, but at this point, man, this is a very, very interesting game where Radha and TennoJJ can almost play with their opponents.
They are definitely playing with their opponents. TennoJJ was massively outfarming Canboy there. I think before he went back, it was 33 to Canboy's 24 CS. Radha's doing a great job in the jungle there. Actually going for the Shatterglass first, so really going for that heavy hitting crystal damage there. Instead of the Aftershock that we see really commonly on the Koshka as the first pick item. Taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah, looking for a fight. Bastion gets knocked into a bad position, and TechnoJJ going to secure the kill. Radha falls down as well, and it looks like TechnoJJ wins out with the Play With Your Food competition, the unofficial title. He's our Summer 2017 Play With Your Food champion here. So congratulations to TechnoJJ beating down Radha in that one. But this Glaive, if he's able to reposition a key target, or even Bastion's not necessarily a key target, but he's not as mobile as a Koshka, then Supremacy are really going to struggle.
You know, it feels for me that Supremacy, they've really lost some
They're
momentum.
going to go for another one here. Look at this.
Again.
Baited in. TechnoJJ was like, oh, you know what? I'm running away from you. But all this time, Palmatoro creeping into the bush, and Karnboy falls. So much dominance on TechnoJJ. 4 kills to him.
4 kills going there towards TechnoJJ, and he is able to land those afterburns consistently every single time onto Bastion, who is very slow. Base mobility there, doesn't have the reflex, isn't able to dodge in time, and he's just being used as a sacrificial lamb here for Supremacy. Very easy pickup there for Fnatic in the first 5 minutes of the game.
So, with this kind of kill lead that we got, it's 1,000 gold in advantage to Fnatic. You have to wonder how Supremacy are going to adapt their game. Currently looking to try and lock down TechnoJJ. They do have that Yummy Catnip Frenzy available, but reflex blocks are there for TechnoJJ, not for Palmatoro, and he is about to enter his jungle and find a kitty cat looking for his food. Is going to be stolen away. Palmatoro has 2 levels disadvantage. That's how far Radha is ahead of Palmatoro. It's pretty big experience lead here, but they're going to look to try and turn the fight. Here comes TechnoJJ. They're going to dive onto Palmatoro. Founder goes out. Radha going to lock down TechnoJJ. Radha taking damage, but so is TechnoJJ as he's forced to go back. Karnboy deep in the fight, but they've got the Crystal Sentry to worry about, so they're not going to chase too deeply. Fnatic attempted to make a rotational play, but without that Oblivion from Palmatoro, they are at such a power deficit.
Yeah, it was a really great flank coming out from Fnatic there. And I'm going to have to agree with you. I think what we have to see coming out from Fnatic is that they need to wait for the ultimates to have that gauntlet available and have the Oblivion there. And I think that's when we'll be seeing them looking a lot more stronger in the team fights. They might get the kill there on the Karnboy. Can they do it?
They might be able to. Can they? Just about one more auto attack.
No.
Just going to find it. Just about stretches out his arm. Bastion's in trouble as well. That's going to be Bastion falling for a double for TechnoJJ. Let's just feed him everything. Palmatoro is still level 5. I don't want to point that out. Is looking to upgrade to level 6 very shortly, but it's a 3 lead. 3-level lead as Radha is just dominating this jungle. Double the CS of Palmatoro. Finally gets his Oblivion. The experience is just at such a huge deficit. A whole 2.5 experience bars in the lead.
Yeah, and that's because Koshka, with that incredibly fast clear speed, she is able to solo jungle as well. Whereas Palmatoro, he's had to have Netolab babysitting him all the whole time, so they have been sharing that XP, which is accounting for this level discrepancy between the 2 junglers in this matchup. And I feel like Fnatic, they're just going to have to give up that gold mine, because I don't think there's a chance for them to steal it. I spoke wrong.
They do. Shinyi, you misjudged TechnoJJ, the god that is this game. A massive chance on this Glaive, and now they're going to look to turn the fight. Oh, huge gauntlet. Karnboy destroyed. Bastion destroyed. Another double for TechnoJJ. 8-0-1. He's going to become a nightmare in this game, Shinyi. And Radha, he may have had some early kills, some early aggression, but Fnatic are stomping it.
Yeah, they're losing that momentum that they had at the start, but that level discrepancy, that is something that they can really be pleased with in the team fights, and they're really using to such great advantage in terms of the power that he's outputting. He is just doing so much. You know, looking at him in a 1v1 1v2 against TechnoJJ, he is doing a significant amount of damage there.
Right, it's this poison shiv that he's going to be building into next to really keep that sustain going high for himself. The Sorrow Blade just does so much as well, and it really, the world is his oyster. TechnoJJ, he could go wherever he wants, wherever he pleases with his 3rd item, and it will do a lot for the team of Fnatic. The gold is only 1,000 in their favor, so whilst this is a high kill game, very interesting and very exciting to watch, Shinyi, there's actually not much advantage as far as gameplay is concerned. In fact, Supremacy are going to look to try and find a fight here as they charge on in. Radha's going to go around the corner. Oh, that's a good silence. Can they stun up Palmatoro? Not going to be able to just yet. It looks like the distance has been traveled for Fnatic to be able to escape the reaches of Supremacy. Supremacy showing a lot of bravery here, but Convoy is out of energy. This is pretty detrimental for the Vox. Means he will not be anywhere near as mobile as usual. And here comes Techno JJ, knocks Bastion into the wall. So much damage down onto this Vox. Radha trying to take down Palmatora. Yummy Captain Frenzy will be blocked, but can he get anything more? It looks like Palmatora should go down, and he does. And now Bastion gonna look to try and stun down Net2Let. Techno JJ looking for the 1 versus 3 as Net2Let does start to fall back. I actually feel like it would have been possible for Techno JJ to dive in there and take down all 3 because Convoy, no energy, Radha, no energy, Bastion, under 20% HP. It's those little things, but in the end goes for the safer play and backs away.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best idea at the point. And I think for me, I feel like, so what we saw at the start of that team fight was that we saw Techno JJ was able to force Convoy back. So it was a bit of a 2v2 situation there between Koshka, Dagio, Samuel, and the Arden. And unfortunately, Koshka was able to get straight onto the Samuel every single time. There wasn't really much they could do. And the kind of issue for me is that Techno JJ, the whole time, you could just see him going back and forth, like who should I join? Should I chase after Convoy and pick up the kill there, or should I go help my teammates? And I feel like he made his decision a little bit too late, because by the time he decided to join his teammates, Palmatora died at that point, and that was a little bit slow in the uptake for me.
Well, another fight breaking out, and Palmatora going to get silenced on up here. Radha still 3 levels ahead of Palmatora. Huge lead here. Good Gauntlet going to block on up. Oh, jumps through. That's going to be Palmatora's stun, but Radha taking a lot of damage. Palmatora goes down. Techno JJ looking to try and turn this around and will find 1 for himself. Kind of a big deal. Will he go down here? Will he be able to become a nightmare is the question. Looks like he will escape for now. 9-0-1. A couple more kills and he will become that nightmare for the team. A 1-for-1 trade once more. Junglers go down. But until Palmatora kind of reaches a similar stage of damage and experience as well, like mind you, this is a level 2 ultimate versus a level 1 ultimate, and Radha, if he keeps aggressively farming, could even hit level 3 at the same time that Palmatora hits his level 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also we'll be seeing, he'll probably have a little bit of an easier time now that he's upgraded his shield to the kinetic shield. I think part of the issue before was that Radha, with that Shasta Glass and the Aegis, was able to withstand the damage Palmatora was throwing out, as well as just dealing a very large amount onto Palmatora. So he wasn't able to do very well in those 1v1 situations. And I think once he gets that Aegis, hopefully he'll be able to withstand a little bit more and get that Eve as well. So he does get that extra sustain in those team fights.
Okay, so Radha does hit level 12, like I mentioned, as Palmatora hits level 9, but it isn't going to be a upgraded Yummy Captain Frenzy, instead going to overdrive both his A and his B abilities, which makes a little bit more sense, makes the kitty a little bit more mobile once you get that overdrive on the A. So it is going to be that instead, but still 3 levels at 12 minutes, and Fnatic are theoretically in the lead as far as macro. Actually, no, they're not. Supremacy took down a turret.
Supremacy are in the lead, I'd say.
Yeah, like it's so deceiving. 10 kills for Fnatic, but 9 of them on Techno JJ, right? And the other one's on Net2Let. So really, you've got all your eggs in one basket at the moment for Fnatic, and it allows Supremacy, who are a little bit more balanced out as far as this is concerned, to go for stuff. Great wait for it, gonna silence on up. Palmatora trying to escape, that's a good block, and actually a stun coming through, so they can try and turn this fight. Oh, that's a gauntlet, that's gonna trap everyone in, and this could be a turnaround for Fnatic. Oblivion gets blocked by Calmboy as Techno JJ's trying to focus down this Fox, but he's actually losing his life in the process. Not able to find the kill, not able to find the damage. Possibly should have turned onto Radha instead and just tried to work as a 3. Fnatic, despite a very nice little engage, not going to find anything for themselves.
Actually, not a great fight there for Fnatic. Techno JJ was sitting on 2,100 gold the whole time. We just see him going for that tension bow now. Very late tension bow, slightly unusual. I think a lot of people would argue that tension bow has its greatest efficacy in the first 5 minutes of the game.
I think that kind of changed in 2.3, 2.4 when tension bow got buffed up, and all the weapon power items changed. Actually, tension bow last item can be quite effective depending on the hero you're playing.
I think it's more for the Vox. Looking at the Adage and the Koshka, I wouldn't say they're great items against them. Canball, he has that reflex block there, so does have a little bit of health. So you do have that extra armor pierce that tension bow was buffed, I believe.
Yep.
So we are just seeing Fnatic. So we do see Techno JJ. I think he's basically full build, just waiting on upgrading the boots and upgrading the armor to either the Atlas or the Metal Jacket. I would be expecting the Atlas Pauldrons coming out from him. So I think Atlas Pauldrons got a bit of a hit in the 2.5 updates. cooldowns were increased, and the attack speed reduction was also decreased as well.
Yeah, no, it was. It made the Atlas a little bit more bearable for your weapon power carry. And that's kind of where the Tension Bow comes into effect, is that it's armor piercing, and there's lots of armor there for the side of Supremacy, and that on-hit damage as well will mean that the afterburn will be detrimental, especially if it's onto Karnboy, even Bastion as well. So, you know, I'm actually a fan of this. I know Druid loves building Tension Bow last item on certain heroes because of the armor pierce plus that on-hit effect that can really scale you up into late game a little bit more. So I think it has its place in the current meta. Techno JJ though needs to make it work. He has these 9 kills. He hasn't died, but he is the damage currently of Fnatic. Palmatoro hasn't even finished his Broken Myths, his second tier 2 item yet. So really, it is all on Techno JJ to win these fights.
It definitely is. And with 2 Pauldrons on the side of Supremacy, they're in for a tough time. They're great damage down.
Yeah, wait for it goes through. Bastion looking to stun everyone up. Will be dodged out by Fnatic, and now Techno JJ, he's used his afterburn defensively, means he has to wait 6 seconds before a re-engage comes through. Radha waiting over the wall, looking for a stun. Ooh, that was interesting. That's going to be the Crucible used early. Bastion can just be focused down here, but it's going to be Supremacy walking in, trying to find the fight. Crystal Sentry getting involved. Supremacy going to back away from that, but Fnatic don't want to let them. They're going in, they're going deep, and Bastion going to pop the fountain. Radha going for the Yummy Captain Frenzy. It is blocked up. Can he find the kill nonetheless? Techno low, but he will be able to survive for now. Ooh, knocks him against the wall. What a great afterburn. Finds Radha, and now Palmatoro can keep on chasing. Karnboy, he's out of energy. He has no movement. He has no jumps. He has nothing. And if these Malice and Verdicts hit, then it's a kill. Palmatoro will just finish him off with his passive, and at 16.5 minutes, Fnatic find 2 kills. They're going to look to try and take as much away from it as possible. A tower and a Kraken on the cards.
They get the turnaround that they were looking for, and they did that without the infusions. All 2 members, Koshka and Adagio, had their infusions ready, so this is their first turret off the game. Techno JJ looking a little bit low. I think he does have to be careful because Koshka is now out of the base. And actually, they're not even going to get the first turret.
Wow. Yeah, this is an unusual Fnatic, Jinyi. You know, at the beginning of this game, before we saw this kind of snowball of Koshka, I wanted to talk about Fnatic. You know, I wanted to have a conversation with you with some tea and some biscuits about Fnatic, because we had this conversation with the players at the Unified Live Championship, and they were like, you know what? During the spring split, we had school, we had exams, we had to really focus on other parts of our lives and couldn't really invest as much time into competitive Vainglory. Now it's summer. This is the time when Vainglory hits its peak. Everyone is on the same playing level, as they do not have to worry about school. They've got weeks off to just focus on Vainglory. So those differences that some of the teams have, there's some quite young players in the competitive scene, start to disappear, and they were really confident going into the summer season that they would be able to really iron out some of the issues they had as a team. Right now though, they are seemingly struggling to kind of get Brass and Net2Let. He's being caught out in the jungle. There are lots of ultimates being used. He's going to pop the gauntlet walls down. He'll have to pop his fountain as well to stay alive. But stay alive he does. Now Fnatic looking to dive on in. Karnboy getting deleted. Techno JJ, a monster, looking for his 11th, looking to be the nightmare that he is on this glaive. And he will hit that status as well. Supremacy put all of their power, their ultimates, their abilities into Net2Let, and Net2Let took it like a boss. Palmatoro are going to pick up Bastion, and surely now this will be Kraken going to Fnatic.
Absolutely, Karnboy's had to teleport back to the base. And I'm going to say, it started off with Net2Let being in the completely wrong position. I'm not even going to pretend that was him trying to bait them out into that. That was just him being in the wrong position.
It was making the best out of the worst situation.
He definitely did. He used a lot of his, he used his own gauntlet, he used his crucible as well, and then he had to use a very late fountain just to keep himself alive. It wasn't really offering much for his teammates. It was all about keeping himself alive. But with the Crystal Sentry there, they were able to turn that around. And like you said, everyone on the side of Supremacy had used up all their ultimates trying to take out the roamer on the side of Fnatic, and I think that was a big mistake. You can see why they're doing it, but they just did not know the positions of Techno JJ and Palmatoro on the map.
Yeah, and that's it. They put so much into killing Net2Let, they almost tunnel visioned on getting the kill, and when they didn't get it, had nothing to offer to zone Fnatic away of just re-engaging. They already took damage from the Crystal Sentry and was just too deep here for the side of Supremacy. Now with the Kraken pushing down the lane, this could just be the opening Fnatic needed to really take control of this game once and for all. 3 turrets on the cards to be taken. The Kraken at half HP and this choke point should go down. Bastion moving forward. Atlas doesn't hit anyone, so that will be the turret by looks of it going down. Radha is lurking, looking for a stun over the wall, but with 3 turrets going Fnatic's way, they're going to try and take this Crystal Sentry as well. Gold has really swung their favor.
Yeah, they do pick up 3 turrets, and we do see them going for a 2.2k gold lead right now. They're beginning to see some of the jungle away from the side of Supremacy. It is still quite close, but I would say that it does feel to me that Fnatic are beginning to win those team fights, and a lot of that is coming down to maximization. Palmator, he's reached his power spikes, and because everyone on the side of Supremacy was focusing so much on counter building against Techno JJ with the armor. If you look at them, all 3 of them have tier 3 armor items. Nobody apart from Radha has. Oh, never mind. Fight's breaking out.
Yeah, fight breaking out. It is going to be Fnatic looking to try and turn this one around. Palmator just about escapes, and that's going to be Calmboy shut down. Oblivion puts Radha to sleep, and to sleep goes Supremacy. Bastion cannot escape, and Ace comes through. Another double for Techno JJ. 13-0 and 2. Looks like perhaps the pause button hit by mistake as well. We'll get that resolved instantly. Fnatic finally catch up, and it's Palmatoro getting online on this Samuel.
No, Radha, only one of the Aegis there. Canboy doesn't have anything. So what we're seeing is the gauntlet being thrown out by Net Toilette, and at least Palmator in a perfect position to stand outside of the gauntlet and use his Drifting Dark and Mass Inverted just to hit those shots onto the Vaults. And there's not really that much they can do to dodge. It's packing a massive punch, and the whole time we were seeing Techno JJ in the middle of all 3 members of Supremacy, and there's not really much they can do. This is why they're winning the team fights. They played this in a very they win the game anyway. Fnatic 2-0 in, I would say, 2 very interesting games today.
Yeah, no, you know what? I hate talking for teams on their behalf, but that's kind of what we do as casters. We kind of add a narrative. We converse a story, right? I don't think Fnatic are going to be too happy with their wins here, Shinyi. They're going to go head towards tomorrow, but this was not necessarily the strongest of games, you know, especially against Calmboy, a substitute. They would have been massive favorites to take them, but that's just my personal opinion. Thankfully, we can get the opinions of someone else as the analysts start their conversation.
There we have it. What a game that was. It is going to go to Fnatic 2-0 in the end, but as Dowsey says, they're not as comfortable as they maybe would have hoped, but maintaining that result, right? They beat them in London, and now they've beaten Supremacy again here in the VG8. So confirming that they are the stronger team for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and able to do it with these later game compositions. You know, we were talking about earlier that this early game pressure is becoming a little bit more of the standard, so to speak, and you can see it there in these compositions. You know, you have Samuel Glaive fairly strong early on, but Kashka, Adagio are so strong in the early game, but Fnatic's just able to survive that. And even in game number 1, similar story where they just kind of survived that early game and then take over towards the late.
Yeah, Kashka actually had double the farm that Samuel did at one point early game, and instead of building so much defense, I feel like Kashka needed to build even more offense to just push that power spike like crazy until everyone hits like level 10, level 12 parity, and then you can start buying some defense. That's the whole point of Kashka, is you just go so offensive and you get the dodger here that you want to then shut down. Radha did play jungle really well though. It's just lane fell behind, Vox fell behind with the Glaive ganks, etc. And the gold lead actually wasn't that big because lane wasn't ahead. So in order to snowball, you got to snowball both.
Yeah, and there was quite a few instances of fights in that game that really could have gone either way. There was a lot of blinking health bars on both sides, and I mean there was a couple of moments. I believe it was Techno JJ afterburn over a wall managed to finish off the Koshka. That was just gorgeous. But there was quite a lot of high mechanical play in across the entire series.
Yeah, and I mean Fnatic did a great job. Again, down the stretch in game number 2, I think they're going to be much happier with game number 2 than they were with game number 1. Game number 1 was really kind of all over the place, but game number 2, they weathered the early game storm, which I do have to give credit. You know, we've talked about we wanted to see Radha play a little bit more aggressively with an aggressive early game jungler. They did that as Cycler. I was actually very impressed with their early game, but Fnatic just, again, the